Hello everyone and welcome back to another video series. Today it's time for draft number 2. Let's get started. See what we got here. I think we have a pretty clear winner in terms of our first pick. Impending Doom is just a very powerful rare and there's not really much else that competes with it. Feeding Time is a pretty good removal spell, but it is sorcery speed, so no fast spell, and it requires 2 different colors of influence, locking us into 2 colors basically, or 1 color and splashing the other. And yeah, while it is a good card, Impending Doom is a great card and also a much more flexible card. And I like Shadow a lot more than Primal, so it's also nice to just locking ourselves into Shadow rather than Shadow and Primal. The rest of the pack actually is pretty underwhelming. It's overall a pretty weak pack after those 2 cards. So yeah, let's make our first pick and then see what our next option is. Alright, this pack is also pretty weak. I think the clear best card is Polymorph. It kind of puts me into Feln and Primal, which I'm not super excited about, but given the pack, this is clearly the best pick in my opinion, and it does not mean we will definitely be Feln, but for now Feln is the direction the picks are pulling us. Alright, this pack also is pretty weak, so we have a little pattern of weak packs here. Unstable Form is kind of okay-ish in draft, since if you have enough like utility turtles and stuff like Amber Acolyte and units that generate value aside from their body and have kind of mediocre bodies compared to their casting cost, Unstable Form has the potential to turn them into strong units that can potentially win us the game, like turning a 4-drop all the way up to 6, for example, can generate some really powerful situations. The other day when I played the card and cast this on an already triggered Serpent Trainer, twice it turned into the 6/6 Lifelinker from Stonescar. I think Lava Blood Goliath is the 9-drop. Not sure what the name is, but the 6/6 Lifelink that deals 2 damage to all our units. I think Callous can be good, but it's like pretty awkward and situational, since it's a lot harder to build a deck around it, like I did in Constructed. Spirit Drain is like an underwhelming removal spell that usually kills stuff that is cheaper than itself, which is not what you want your removal to be doing. Usually you want it to break even or be cheaper than the thing you're killing. The life gain makes up a bit for that. It's also not a fast spell, so all in all, pretty underwhelming removal. That could be a pick here, same for Unstable Form, but I think since this has the potential to end up in our deck depending on how our draft goes, and that it's 200 Dust, 200 Shiftstone, I think I'll just take the Blood-Red Callous here and leave our options open. It's like a good value pick and a decent potential pick for our deck depending on where we end up. Okay, so more Feln cards, like a lot more Feln cards. Seems like we are really being pushed into Primal. And yeah, I mean, we already have Polymorph, so it could be worse. I think the pick here is probably between Hurler and Wisdom. Actually, a decent fan of Hurler. 4/4 for 5 is a decent body usually, outclasses a lot of stuff. It's a bit below the curve, but the Snowball can be really nice. There's quite a bunch of relevant 1 health units to kill, for example like this one and Oni Ronin and so many more. So this often is an actual 2-for-1, and there's also the potential of just popping an Aegis with the Snowball or finishing off a unit post-combat and stuff. Wisdom of the Elders is okay, but not exciting in my opinion. Especially it doesn't complement our more aggressive Impending Doom very well, while Jotun Hurler kind of does and gives us some flexibility. It's basically we're picking 2 cards with 1 pick. If we draw it early, it's mostly a temper that puts a 5 power 4/4 in our hand, and if we draw it late, it's a 5 power 4/4 that gives us a free weaker temper, so we kind of get 2 very different effects in our deck by putting 1 card in our deck, which is a pretty nice thing in terms of having a flexible deck that is good early game and late game. I think I'll pick the Hurler. Now this pack is actually really good compared to the packs before. It's pretty bad for us. I think I'll just take the Javelin because that's the card that we are most likely to have some use for depending on how a draft goes. So I'll pick that. But by this point we are not very likely to end up in red. Trickster's Cloak is a pretty decent Feln card for a more proactive deck. We don't have anything that goes with it yet, like early drops or Infiltrate. But I think it might be the best pick. I mean, Direfang Spider is a pretty solid pick as well, but the more aggressive we are and the more Infiltrate we get, the better Cloak gets. Though I think I'll like the Cloak a little better, but I could be wrong, and I couldn't fault anyone for making the safe pick of Direfang Spider here. Northwind Herald is not really a consideration. Alright, so the Strangers are loose. Since I don't really think this is gonna end up in our deck, I'm just gonna pick the foil for the dust. Oh nice, another Trickster's Cloak, so now we can pick Infiltrate units pretty aggressively. I think I'll take away that finisher from someone. Aggressive early drop. Some random picks. Storyteller, not likely to make it into our deck, but who knows. Sweet, another great rare in our colors. This is a bomb. You should usually be able to manage this as a 6/6 flying Aegis for 7, which, yeah, simply put, wins games pretty convincingly. The next best pick for us would be Acolyte, or if we are still willing to abandon ship on blue, which I don't think we really can anymore by now, we could take Morningstar. But yeah, Mistral Drake makes it very easy, very clear, and if we weren't already, definitely cements us in blue. But to be honest, we are not fully cemented in black yet, but we'll see. Since blue-red is not very great and we have some good black stuff that we don't want to abandon unless we have to, Torch is not that great, even though it's one of the best draft picks you can get outside of literal bombs. And we actually have a good card in our colors, so Skycrack Viverge it is. Okay, so now it's kind of the close decision between Soaring Stranger and Hurler. I think Stranger is a bit better. 4 power 3/3 flyer is pretty good stats. If we pick up a Feln Stranger along the way, might get some upgrade from the Soaring Stranger as well. And even if not, 4 power 3/3 flyer is a really good rate, and so far we only have 1 4-drop. Sweet. We get rewarded for still being in black and pick up an Annihilate. Lesser Ranger would also be really great, especially with 2 Trickster's Cloaks, but Annihilate is just way better. Alright. Whoa, that's a really late Torch. Since this pack doesn't really offer anything, I'm willing to just take the Torch and see if it does anything for us. I kind of doubt it, which is why I'm gonna hide it, because Torch is not the kind of card you want to splash for, but who knows. I mean, we already have 2/3 power weapons, we don't have early drops yet, but this pack is so weak that I mean, Yeti Spy with the 2 cloaks, kind of okayish, but then we have a 3/3 afterwards and kind of wasted our cloak. I mean, I guess I'll take it, even though it's not too likely to end up in our deck. Sweet, that's another great pickup for our top end. We have some really great flyers here, and if we live till then, it's gonna be hard for us to lose, so currently we're looking at more of a mid-rangey deck with great finishers and trying to cement our early game to not lose before our finishers can come down and take over the game. But yeah, Frostkin is nice. Fairly flexible card. It is a bit more aggressive than defensive, but you can also use it defensive to buy some time and slow down the game. Xenon Destroyer is pretty nice actually for Trickster's Cloaks. Lifesteal helps us live longer. We need early drops. Good pickup. Acolyte, just a very solid pickup and pretty late actually. Some draft chaff near the end here. This is kind of good, but 8 is a lot. We already have a 7. I'm kind of inclined to take the Xenon Destroyer just to have more early game and have more things to put our weapons on and help us race. Yeah, screw it. Tempest is just really powerful. Just need to slant our deck more towards surviving. Whoa. Jeez. These picks. I mean, I almost wanna like take one of these early picks, like this is great with Trickster's Cloak and stuff, but Thunderstrike Drake is so good. I mean, call me greedy, but I'll just take like the Drake here and roll with it. Xenon Destroyer, that's nice. Early removal, that's pretty good. That's a bit dirty for our deck, but we'll take it, it's free. Nice, Lesser Ranger. Could also take Violent Gust to have more ways to survive, and we already have a Cobalt Acolyte, but I think a 2-drop is also a pretty good way of like doing something meaningful early, and it gives us more use for our weapons. This is kind of okay with our weapons, but not exciting. This is also a bit narrow. I'll take the Beetle and see if it ends up in our deck. It's not that likely, but it at least gives us some options. Since it's actually a decent threat with a Trickster's Cloak on it, turns it into a 4/4 flyer on turn 3. Combust for the unlikely off chance that we're splashing it. A Stranger, just as a 2-drop, and a black fixer, like a shadow fixer. Could also like fix something like a Combust. If we really want to go down that road. We usually don't want to splash cards like that. Whew. We have a Twilight Raptor, which is kind of good for our deck, but I think it's not that great and important that I'm not gonna just take the legendary. I mean, I did similar picks in the last video, and I think first of all, I think the things that we picked up there were like stronger and more critical to a deck potentially than a Raptor is, and it's also kind of close if you go for the immediate value or for the projected value of having a better deck and performing better. Alright, I'll just take it. That's pretty sweet actually. Servant Trainer is also really good, but this is cheaper and plays defense better, and I think that's two things that we are very interested in, and it's a rare, which is nice dust value. So this is really close actually. There would be our second bolt, which is great early defense and stuff. But this is really good with our weapons, and we also don't have many 2-drops. So, Then again, we have 3 Xenon destroyers already, so I'll just take the bolt. Ooh, couple more good picks and another reasonably late torch. So, Twilight Raptor, some more removal, and the Gorgon Fanatic. Kind of a close call between the Fanatic, which we can enable to some extent, but it's not like I want to slap a Trickster's Cloak on a Fanatic, or just a Lightning Strike to like make us not die. Honestly, I think Strike is just a better pickup here. Call me crazy, but I think it probably does more for our deck. Gorgon Fanatic is a bit awkward in our deck, I think. And puts us even further behind on board, which does not really help us to survive till our bombs take over the game. We don't need to draw like 3 cards, we just need to survive and our bombs are gonna do the rest. Yeah, I'll take that. Might end up in the deck, who knows. Don't think we are interested in that, given how high our casting cost is and everything. We still don't have that many 4-drops, so this is a decent pickup. Whoa, another one. Our deck is like 6-drop dot deck. I mean, don't have enough to get real value out of this guy. That's not great, but it's a 2-drop. This is not likely gonna do much either. Nor is this guy. That's decent though. Alright, let's take a look at the deck. So, gonna build the deck and then I'll be back with the first part of the games videos after we build the deck. So, let's see, we got some power and the amount of power we want to run is probably like 19, since we have a really high curve and all we need is to hit our land drops, like our power drops, and not lose the game. I think we can abandon Beetle by now. Probably also don't need that many cloaks, if at all. This is definitely better on a Xenon Destroyer in the long run than a cloak. We have so many 6-drops, jeez. Glad we have high drops like that at least also help us early. Wisdom helps a bit with our land drops or power drops. 4 cards to cut. I think we cut another cloak, which is not that great. Maybe 1 destroyer, since they can be lackluster. We have some removal to set them up and weapons and stuff. And we have the Cobalt Acolyte as well. How many 2-drops do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that Vulture gonna do enough for us? Probably not. Like, pretty bad at trading. Well, this is not better at trading. It at least kind of buys us some time and replaces itself, so still a bad Temple Scribe, which is still an okay filler. And the Stranger gets slightly better through the Soaring Stranger. I mean, maybe 18 power is enough, but not sure. I mean, in MTG this would definitely be like an 18 out of 40, so I'm pretty sure this should be like a 19 out of 45, because all we need to do is get to like 6 and then we have all these great cards. I think Spirit Drain is still fine because the lifesteal is good for us, and everything that interacts with the board is fine, even if it's not that great. I mean, maybe we can just cut Channel the Tempest because we don't need it. And it makes our opening hands worse. The more I think about it, the more I'm inclined to just cut Channel the Tempest here. Because we have so much power. We have Torrent if the game goes long and grindy to make a bunch of spiders. We have Doom. We have Viverge for like a 2-for-1. We have good removal for various things. We have 2 Sapphire Dragons, which can win the game alone. We have Thunderstrike Dragon, which is ridiculously good, and Mistveil Drake, so it's a lot of top end. I think this is like, we just should cut some top end, and this is the worst and the most expensive top end. So I'll just cut that, I think. Alright, this is the deck. I think 19 power is appropriate. If I feel like we're consistently flooding, I might go down to 18, but just from like theory crafting standpoint, 19 is definitely what this deck wants and needs. Yeah. See you in a moment with the first part of the games.